Have you ever stopped to think about how engineers actually predict and prevent failures? Especially in these super complex systems we rely on every day. Things like airplanes, power grids.
Yeah.
It's a huge task. Today we're going to dig into one of their key tools, fault tree analysis, or FTA,
Yeah.
and our mission to really unpack our reasoned, pretty comprehensive review looking at all the latest improvements.
Yeah, it's a good topic. FTA is, well, it's definitely one of the go-to techniques for failure analysis. It basically maps out all the potential ways a system could fail. It helps engineers see the pathways, not just the end result. So this deep dive will explore how it's evolved and where it stands now based on that big review of the research.
Okay, let's unpack this then. So
Yeah.
FTA, it's described as a single event-oriented top-down diagram, kind of like a logic puzzle in reverse, starting from the bad outcome.
Exactly. Think of it like starting with the main problem, the unwanted event, maybe an engine failure. And then you work backwards, logically tracing all the possible root causes. That could be anything, really. Human error, a part failing, even something in the environment.
It's about finding all those potential tripwires.
Right. And it's got history. FTA actually goes way back to 1962, Bell Telephone Labs. They first used it for assessing the safety of the Minuteman missile launch system. Pretty high stakes. So it's proven its robustness over decades.
That's really interesting context. But, even with that solid history, conventional FTA had its issues, right?
Yeah.
I can imagine for, say, modern jets' flight controls, mapping every single possibility must get complicated.
Oh, absolutely. For really complex systems, building that traditional fault tree can be, well, incredibly time-consuming. And a big headache is often the input data. Getting solid failure rates. That's tricky, especially if you don't have tons of historical data.
The data problem. So that lack of perfect information, that's what spurred the need for improvements.
That's exactly it. Those inherent limits really pushed researchers and engineers over the last, say, 10 years or so to develop better approaches.
So what are these improvements? What kind of new tools are being integrated into FTA now?
Well, they're basically giving FTA some new capabilities. We're seeing a lot of integration with things like decision-making methods, risk analysis tools, uncertainty analysis.
Okay.
But one of the really hot topics is Bayesian networks. This is a big one. It means the FTA isn't static. It can actually learn. As new information comes in, it updates the probabilities, makes it much more dynamic.
Wow. So it adapts. That sounds crucial for today's systems.
It is. And then there's also fuzzy set theory. This helps deal with situations where you don't have precise numbers, maybe you're relying on expert judgment.
So instead of a hard percentage, you can work with terms like likely or rarely.
Exactly. It allows for that nuance, that subjectivity, which is often more realistic when hard data is scarce.
That combination sounds powerful, handling uncertainty and expert intuition. You mentioned a lot of research. What's the global picture look like?
Oh, it's definitely a growing field. The number of publications on FTA improvements has really taken off, particularly after 2019. Asia, and especially China, is really leading the research output. Authors like Jianxi Wang, Yanfeng Li, Yuhuan Wang, they're very prominent.
And it's being applied across different fields.
Yeah, widely.
Yeah.
Engineering is the biggest chunk, maybe a third. Then computer science is significant too, around 17%. But even areas like decision sciences are using it. Shows its versatility.
So boiling it down, what does this mean for you listening right now? Well, these advancements aren't just academic. They directly impact the safety and reliability of so many things you use. Your phone, your car, the power grid. Better FTA makes them safer.
Definitely. And looking forward, there's still work to do, still gaps. For instance, better integration with tools for decision-making, like MCDM, multi-criteria decision-making. That helps figure out the best way to intervene if a risk is identified, weighing different factors.
Right, not just identifying the risk, but choosing the optimal response.
Exactly. And also refining how we handle those linguistic terms, from experts turning rarely fails into something the analysis can concretely use. That's still an ongoing challenge.
And you see potential beyond the usual industrial applications, too.
Oh, absolutely. Think about applying these improved FTA methods to, say, financial risk management for big companies, or even in education, perhaps assessing financial loan programs. The potential to understand risk better is really broad.
It really opens things up.
It does, and it leaves us with a pretty interesting thought, doesn't it? As our world gets more complex, more interconnected, how will making these advanced FTA tools more user-friendly really empower people on the ground? Letting practitioners easily apply these sophisticated analyses, what new areas, maybe completely unexpected ones, might suddenly benefit from this deeper understanding of risk and reliability?